Hello, my friend, and welcome to the 539th episode of the Sales Podcast. I'm Wes Schaefer, the Sales Whisperer, your host. Today, we've got an individual that helps plumbers grow 5X in 90 days. And he's not a plumber. And you may be saying to yourself, well, I'm not a plumber either. Why should I listen to this? This is exactly why you should listen to this, because what he covers is directly attributable, applicable, can be applied to what you do in any business. He's a sales expert, marketing expert, entrepreneur. So you are in for a treat, all right? So just stay plugged in. The new year's off and kicking. Oh, I'm recording this January 10th. Got a little Alabama-Georgia action going on. A good friend of mine in the know says Bama will not win. He's just looking at the numbers. I don't know. I had Dr. Brett McCabe on back on 534. LSU boy I've known for years. Actually is a sports psychologist with Alabama. And it was good talking with him, getting some insight into Nick Saban, what makes him different. It's hard to bet against Alabama, but we shall see. My buddy who's a numbers guy, if this proves to be correct, actually on our Monday call we just had, I was telling him to create a Facebook group, maybe for free at the moment, but I told him make a few posts that are correct, right? Some predictions. Have a track record. Invite people over to a very affordable private group. I told him, like $90, right? $97, lifetime access. And then later make it a membership, but those that start get grandfathered in. But, get a few people, a captive audience, have some dialogue, and he can follow his passion because that's not his main business. So I'm trying to help him see a bigger picture. And it was the same advice I gave another one on our call. And I was telling her, she's in marketing, and I said, use your Facebook profile to just make some commentary, give some advice, get the word out. And when you get one that gets some traction, paste it over on your page, paste it over on your LinkedIn profile, make it a blog post. Use that as a newsletter you send out to your group. But over time, you prove your competency. And you validate where the interest lies so you know what path to follow to create these multiple streams of income. And in her case, she wants to shift the conversation and do more of a one-to-many, right? And also not have the exact same conversation with people over and over again. I've always said if you do something 2 or 3 times a day or 4 or 5 times a week, have a process for it, and ideally automate it if you can. But at least have a process for it. Write this out. Give it to your people as a manual so they know how to answer specific questions. Because this came up. She's in the promotional items business. And people are calling up, hey, what's new and exciting? And is that a valid question? Why not ask, hey, what works? Hey, what's making money now? Hey, what promotional items are making the phone ring? What promotional items can you show me? What package can you show me that has a 2 or 3 or 10x ROI? But people don't know. If your prospects knew the right things to ask, they wouldn't have called you. Okay? So you can get frustrated and pissed off at these people, or you can anticipate it like Nick Saban does. Right? They study the game film. They know the tendencies of their opponent. And that's what sports is. Understanding the tendencies, training hard enough that you are masterful enough to cause your opponent to react a certain way. Jiu-jitsu, the biggest thing I'm working with white belts on and helping them understand. Just understand the concept, because they'll just go for a move. And they're like, oh, it doesn't work. So no, it doesn't work because you telegraphed it. So you need to understand when you do move A, understand counter A, how I'm going to counter that move, and then maybe only do a partial attack so you're ready to counter the counter. Okay? Or just get better, do a full-on attack with A. Maybe you're good enough and you'll just get it. Or you'll be good enough. When they counter, you can quickly react to the counter. So, but you can't get irritated with your prospects because they don't know anything. That's the best. Because now you can hold their hand and guide them and earn their trust. But it's tiring and time-consuming and expensive to do that one-on-one. Can you make videos? Can you make podcasts? Can you make blog posts? Can you make newsletters that answer these questions? That's how you prove your competency, when you show the prospect not only have you anticipated their question, you asked it ahead of time, and you answered it before they even thought to investigate it. That's how you prove you're better. And I told her it starts with her just answering some questions, asking some questions, sharing some tips, proving her expertise. Are you doing that? If you need help with that, hit me up. Go to thesaleswhisperer.com, go to the Contact Us, and let's find a time. We'll talk, and I'll help you grow your sales. All right? Now, let's bring on our guest. Corey Berrier, founder of My Sales CEO, founder of the process that guarantees a 5 times ROI in the first 90 days. I'm going to hold you to that, man. Welcome to the Sales Podcast. How the heck are you?
I'm doing great, Wes. Thanks for having me, my man. Been listening to you for quite some time, my friend.
Well, you know what? You have great taste in podcasts. All right, so we'll just leave it at that. All right. I grew up in Louisiana, so I got to know, man, why are you Berrier and not Berrier?
Well,
I can see you sipping a Perrier, smoking that cigar of yours. I want to know how many cigars you smoke a day too. So I got a lot of questions for you. So let's go. Right. Chop. You better be on your game.
I'm on it, dude. Brace yourself for this answer about why it's Berrier opposed to Berrier. I grew up in Mayberry.
All right.
The real deal Mayberry, like Snappy Lunch, Floyd's Barbershop, which you will know what those things are. Some of our people that are listening will have absolutely no idea what that is. But that's where I grew up. And Berrier sounds really cool, but I didn't grow up in a cool place. So I guess that's why. And to my cigar smoking, I have a few a day.
Nice.
A day. Yeah.
Well, people ask me because I go by my middle name, right? Joseph Wesley. And they're like, why are you called Wes? I'm like, I don't know. When I was like 0, my parents said, here's Wes. It's like, well, yeah, I guess I could change my name later, but like, I don't know. It's my name.
It's interesting. I actually go by my middle name as well. My first name is Robert, but I hate Robert. And plus, they called me Corey. So here we are.
Let's not overcomplicate things, shall we?
That's right. Because we seem to do that in life sometimes, right?
So what's up, man? Transform Plumbing Companies guarantees a 5-time ROI in the first 90 days. Why plumbing, huh? Why don't you help Sales Whisperers 5-time ROI their money in sales?
Well, I'll tell you that. Look, I am not a tradesman. I'm going to tell you that straight up. I've never plumbed a thing in my life. However, one of my bigger, if not my biggest success during my coaching journey has been with one of the largest plumbing companies in Vegas. And so I got to really, and Wes, one of the things that I like to do when I meet with a business owner and we're talking about whatever their issues are, whatever their pain points are, whatever they think they are, I have that conversation. And then I also talk to the sales team as a whole. And then I individually talk to each sales member, each team member, each technician. And so I get to know these guys fairly well. And the reason I do that, as you well know, is it builds rapport, right? If I build trust with the technicians, they're going to do what I suggest, right? I mean, we both know that. And then I bring the two together, right? I figure out what the owner thinks is going on. I take what the salespeople think what's going on, and somewhere I mash that in the middle where everybody walks away happy, right? And then the production goes up. So That's why, because I got a lot of firsthand experience. I mean, I even went out. I wanted to understand so badly why they were going sideways. So I just rode out in the field with them for 3 days, and I figured it out really quick. If look, a lot of people in the trades, or even maybe you and I, when we're talking about certain sales things, maybe we drop the NLP right in front of somebody, and people don't really know what that means outside of a certain group of people. A lot of people don't know what that means. So if I say, hey, I'm going to teach you some NLP stuff, people are going to look at me like I'm crazy, right? And what happened? This guy, we were in a house, and I'm just observing, and so he's saying, hey, I need to change out 4 angle stops. I actually didn't know what an angle stop was, and that's what really tied this thing together, because I was thinking, I'm like, what the hell is an angle stop? And the guy, look on his face, you could see the same look on his face. He had absolutely no idea. And the problem is, and you know this about a lot of people, we'll throw around industry jargon because it makes us sound smarter. But the reality is, it don't put money on the table all the time. No, sometimes, but not all the time.
Well, dude, everybody knows it's right next to that thingamabob. Sometimes you need to whatchamacallit in between that angle thingy and a little duct tape.
Right.
But you know that now, right?
That's right.
All right. All right, good.
But you know what? And he lost the sale. He
Yeah.
lost the sale because they had no idea what he was asking them for
And
$600
you know why? You
for.
know why? You know why? I know you know why, but I'm going to say this for our listeners. A confused mind says no.
That's right.
When
That's
you
right.
start talking all highfalutin, throwing them $5 words around, the prospect, they're not going to admit they don't know it. I mean, people don't want to admit, like me, I'm secure in my manhood. I'll say, back the truck up. What the hell did you just say? But most people won't.
That's right. I agree with you.
And it's crazy. It's crazy, but it just is. So, I always say, meet your prospects where they are.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
They
Because
don't
you
know.
never know, right? You never know. And look, this is the same thing with digital communication. And I know I truly believe you're going to agree with this. You don't, like, if I have to send you an email, regardless of what it is, about business, about a negotiation, whatever, I need to think about, how's Wes going to be feeling today? Has his wife just run out and cheated on him? Because that could be a possibility, right? He
Shazam.
could have he could have just lost a family member. He could have just been told he's got testicular cancer. We don't know. So you got to let it land super soft, because you don't ever know. That person is probably going to read it negative, especially if it's about a problem that you need to solve for them, or if it's, well, in their eyes, could be a perceived problem that they didn't know they had, right? And we bring it to light, they're going to look at that negatively if we don't land it right.
Mm-hmm. So you landed a client in the plumbing business. What is it? Can I assume, like, at that point you were kind of industry agnostic, and then like you had a big win and decided to go deep into one industry?
That is exactly right. I started out like a lot of guys, and I think, well, I want to coach on this, I want to coach on that, and the one thing I said I didn't really want to coach on is sales, because I've been doing it for so long. But there's value in that, because I've done it a million times in a million different industries, in a million different scenarios, with a million different people. So, damn, why reinvent the wheel?
Well, entrepreneurs reinvent the wheel because I think we self-sabotage. We want to have a lot of irons in the fire because it gives us an excuse when we fail,
That's right.
But I do digress sometimes. But sometimes, it's good. So
Yeah,
now,
sometimes.
so let me ask you something though. So you got this on your LinkedIn, this 5x ROI in 90 days, way back in the day, back before Keep was called Keep. They were still called Infusionsoft. And they had a double your sales guarantee. And I even got it wrapped on my vehicles. And man, this was 10 years ago, maybe more. Actually, yeah, 2010, 2011. I got like 3 calls in like 18 months. And I realized the problem was it sounded too good to be true. We had case studies. It was documented. You would get your money back. And it wasn't a huge investment anyway. Over the course even of a whole year, the software was, you'd spend $8,000 maybe in a year at most, right? But it was too good to be true. So I stopped running with it. Infusionsoft stopped running with that promo. Do you get any pushback? Do you have problems? Do you have to pick your clients, be very particular who you bring on? Because sometimes like they're just too dysfunctional to actually help.
Well, so I think, and this is a great conversation, a great question. I think that maybe when you read that, you were thinking your ROI, right? You were thinking how much money you're making, and I'm going to, 5x how much money you're making. Now, I didn't say that.
I get it. It's an ROI. If it's a $5,000 coaching, then
You're going to make 25.
You want to do $25,000.
That's right.
New sales.
Yeah, and so the reason I don't get pushback on it is because I know there are things that I know that a lot of people don't, or if they do know them, they're just not doing them. And it's simple tweaks like follow up, right? I mean, this is the easiest thing on the planet to do, but most people leave money on the table. And that, if you could just teach somebody a great follow-up strategy that has zero, I mean, look, I implemented one of the things that I am proud about with that company in particular is, well, a few things. We hit the largest month in company history the second month I was with them. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is, I brought one of their CSRs over and just called her an inside sales rep. Really, she just switched offices, right? And she did the follow-up. And guess what? We brought in $200,000 over 90 days just through her simple follow-up process, which was wasn't like she had 30 phones going at once or 28,000 emails going out. We're talking about one dial at a time. So, that was one simple tweak, right? One simple tweak. And nobody, I shouldn't say nobody, but most companies out there think they do follow-up the right way, but the reality is it's a damn sequence, right? It's a click funnel, and that's what their follow-up strategy is. And I'm like, no. If you're leaning on that, you're probably going to fail.
Right. So how do things evolve over time? Because typically, like when you first show up and things are truly chaotic, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king, right? You look like this genius. The definition of an expert is you come from out of town, you carry a briefcase, right? But after 90 days, 5 months, they got a little pop, got the low-hanging fruit, but now the real work begins a lot of times. Do you find like your customers are they motivated to stay the course because you got them some early wins and now they know like it's time to dig in and just rinse, wash, and repeat?
Yes, until you involve human beings. And then, and that's where things get messed up. If everything's working right, guarantee one knucklehead's going to mess it up. And so, and here's the issue. Like, and I look, it's a challenge for me when, it's a challenge to a degree. I've become much better at it. But at first, when I first started working with people, it was a challenge for me to tell the owner, the guy that's writing me the check, hey, dude, you got to fire your best guy. He's draining your ass. In fact, I bet you can't even tell me what he's doing. I bet you he can't even tell you what he's doing.
Why do they think he's the best guy?
Because he was the first one on the roster. Of course. He was the first man on the team. So why would we get rid of him? He's got to be the best. No. In fact, he's the worst because He knows you think he's doing everything right. You know what I mean? And so, people are just not always the most honest.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, and the
it's a
owner gets tired, gets distracted, trusts a little bit too much, but doesn't verify, and then they get robbed blind. It's a mess.
Yeah, you're right. And a lot of times you're absolutely right. If you take your foot off the gas, and I always wonder where is the sweet spot for the business owner that when they can say, you know what, they got this guy, he's going to do great. Because I've seen more times than not that happen and it not go so great.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know,
Do you ever expand, like if a chiropractor calls you, or HVAC company, or a roofing contractor, will you take them on, or are you hesitant to branch out?
I'm not hesitant, and the reason is because I have, I've got a built out signature process that I take. And it look, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what sales you're in, right? I mean, look, e-commerce, that might be a different story. You're not going to use you are going to use it just a slightly different way. But it just walks you through everything that whether you're green or whether you need brushing up, or even, I mean, I obviously could take it even a step further and speak super high level, but my group that I work with is typically business owners that either one need to understand what the sales process is like, because maybe they started out as, let's just say a plumber, right? Or maybe they start out as just an electrician and then they decide to, open their own shop. Well, the problem with that is I think that's great and I think they should do that. However, they typically do not have business experience. They don't know the ins and outs of running a business. They don't understand P&Ls. They don't understand, you got to keep things up to date. You got to have insurance on the vehicle. Like, I mean, there's really common sense things, and it's maybe not even that they don't know it, but you started businesses. It's a wild ride when you first start. You're doing everything under the sun
Mm-hmm.
and things slip.
Mm-hmm. So what have you seen through COVID and now moving into the 2022 and beyond? Are there some fundamentals that have never changed that people should absolutely always do?
I think there's a fundamental that we thought changed, but it
Mm-hmm.
didn't. And
No.
that would be the phone still works. It will dial a phone number and you can get a live person on the other side, but you got to pick it up and you got to dial it. And so that went away for the longest time. I mean, obviously, we all remember that before 2020 hit, it was really hard probably to get somebody on the phone. But now, people, well, especially during COVID, my goodness, people would just break their neck to get to the phone for it to ring because nobody was talking.
Right.
So I think that is fundamentally not, I wouldn't say it's changed, but it's changed back. And so people that underestimate the phone, you're going to wind up behind probably.
Are people forwarding their phones? Are you getting them on their cell phone?
A little bit of both actually. Surprisingly, we bought lists that 7 out of 10 answer the phone at their business or their home, whichever the list is. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's really ridiculous. Like, that's a pretty strong number, and that was 2 months ago. So it wasn't like everybody was shut in. And so that told me that I was when I saw that from my own eyes, I'm like, man, like, people say cold call. I mean, look, most people, I'll say, do not enjoy cold calling. I am absolutely one of those people. I hate it. I hate it. But you got to do it. But I mean, like back in the day when we used to open the yellow pages and start dialing, that's what I think of when I think of a cold call.
Yeah, but I mean, you're buying these lists. These are businesses, right?
Either or. depending on what we're using the list for.
Yeah, I mean, if you're calling a resident, well, I mean, I guess as long as you qualify the list. I don't answer the phone. I use this. I've had this setting on my iPhone forever. I mean, if it's an unknown number, it goes right to my voicemail.
Yeah, no ring, right?
Yeah, no ring.
Yeah, me too.
And it'll display. I'll see that a call is coming in, but no vibrate, no ring. So is that stumping your guys? Do you know if it's a cell phone? You can send a text to it. You know, if it goes right to voicemail.
There are some, and that's interesting that you bring that up, because I'll tell you, this is something I didn't even know existed, and maybe I don't know why I didn't know, but voicemail drops. So we can send out, 2,000 voicemails at once if we decide to.
Right.
And the numbers that don't have, I guess, voice messages or a voicemail to leave a message, I guess, I don't know what happens. I guess it just disconnects. I'm not the one sending those out, and I receive the calls when they call back, right? Sometimes, most of the time, but and it works a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
Yeah.
I think people, I don't know. Have you ever had anybody do that to you that you know of?
The voicemail drops?
Yeah.
Dude, I get everything.
Yeah.
I get LinkedIn spam, email spam, voicemail spam, text spam. I get it all. I've had the same phone number for 17 years. So I get everything. And being in this field, having a podcast now for over 8 years, it's 9 years, actually. It's crazy. So, yeah. And most of them are bad.
Yeah.
The LinkedIn pitches are bad. And it's so funny using LinkedIn, right? I've got that little dash and a phone in my first name. So I know when people scrape it and blast me. And just today, I was going through email, and a big name current client of mine, I have an email from them, a little icon in it. So I'm like, even they're scraping and blasting. I didn't opt in. I don't opt in with West-red phone. I don't type that in.
So how does it show up?
It depends on what they're using to deliver. In LinkedIn, just all the messages just say West. Usually it's West dash. Sometimes it'll be West dash and like a weird character from the keyboard, because the icon of the red phone doesn't convert over, or it'll be West dash question mark. So on this email I got from my client, the icon actually came through. So it was West dash red phone. That was my greeting.
And so you have it set up? Yeah, that's right, on LinkedIn. But do you have it set up on your email as well?
No. But what happens is people screen scrape. They grab my info from LinkedIn and then use it in their mail merge. They'll use it for LinkedIn. They're using a third-party tool to blast LinkedIn messages.
Right.
So,
which gets tricky for them.
Oh, I mean, it's illegal, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Is it?
Spam is, but the interesting thing is, so pure spam is illegal. But so technically, officially, it is not illegal if you have an accurate subject line, if you have your correct contact information, the signature or the footer, and you have a means of opting out. So if you do all that, and so like technically B2B emails cannot be spam if you follow those rules. It could be unwanted, unsolicited, but from the legal definition, that is not spam. Sending it to a private person, that's when it starts to get a little tricky. And they say, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right? Smart email companies will allow you to complain, and then they'll keep that complaint in-house, right? So that complaint goes to them, and then they'll look at their customers and slap them on the wrist, before it gets out to the reporting agencies.
Seen a lot of that going on recently.
Oh yeah, dude, I get like spam texts are supposed to be like a $1,500 fine per thing. And like, I get them all the time. Although lately I've gotten a lot fewer, but they come in waves, man. It's just, and I'll forward them to T-Mobile, and maybe that helps, but it would seem like we'd run out of numbers by now. There's so many spammers just grabbing phone numbers. Like, how do we have any numbers left?
That's a good question. That is a really good question. That's interesting, but I do want to say this. So when I said we bought list, we also, whenever we buy the list, we clean the list.
Sure.
Right. So it's somebody opting in to whatever it is, right? So that gives us permission to then reach back to them.
Yeah, sure. I mean, lists have been around forever, and it's fine. And yeah, I tell people you got to think outside the box a little bit. And like if you look at a county fair, right, or a horse show, right, get a booth. Yeah, you could sell like high-end jewelry and who knows, custom tailoring, because somebody going to a horse show, somebody going to a car auction, right, rare car, whatever, those people have money. So like figure out what it is they want and just present it to them, so I'm working with a client now, and he works with Christian businessmen, right? We were talking about it a little bit before. And, I'm telling him, survey your members, find out like what magazines they read. If a significant percentage, reads the NRA, for example, I mean, whatever, then take out an ad in the freaking NRA and go where they are. It's not, ain't rocket science.
It's really not. But here's the problem, and I know you'll agree with this, is people do not want to ask the question for whatever reason, right? Whether it's about the sale, whether it's for the sale, whether it's about the magazine, they're like, I just don't want to bother that guy. Now, come on. If you're in sales, you go bother everybody. That's what we do. We interrupt people. And if you're not okay with interrupting people, you certainly don't need to be in sales.
Yeah.
And you got to be okay with that.
Well, and in business, if it's B2B, if you're calling another business owner, they appreciate it. They appreciate a good pitch.
Yeah.
They just do. And so if you're professional, if you're interesting, if you're enthusiastic, if you cut to the chase, if you uncover their pain, not a problem.
But let's be clear about what you mean by pitch. We're not talking about jumping on the phone with somebody and, steamrolling them with buy my shit. It's
no.
What you mean by that is you're giving the customer the opportunity to make a decision to buy what you're offering, because as the salesperson, it's going to do them good. It's a mutual benefit, right? It's actually one-sided. They're getting a bigger benefit, should be getting a bigger benefit than you are.
Yeah.
If you go into it that way, you will be more successful in sales.
Yeah, and pitch is an interesting word. Tom Hopkins, I had him on a few years ago, and I remember reading him, man, back in like 94, 95. I was still in the Air Force. I'd gotten involved in like this direct marketing, stuff. And that's what got me into sales, really, and personal development. But he always talked about, he hated the word pitch. Like he didn't even call his pitching wedge a pitching wedge. He said, hand me my presentation wedge. So, but it is, it's a stage. We're performing. And people need to accept that. And everything we do, we're on stage. People are very predictable. We can push their buttons, elicit the response that we're looking for, get the reaction out of them that we need to freaking help them. Right? Because again, a confused mind says no. If they haven't heard of you, there's oh no. They think that no is always the safest answer. And it's like, it may not be the safest answer for you right now.
That's right.
But everybody's, they got their guard up. So like, what can you share that doesn't give the farm away? Like some tips on using the phone. Do you have your people, like, are they chipper? Are they follow the exact thing every time? Are they allowed to kind of change it up after a while, or do you make them, here's the rule book, here's the playbook, stick with it?
Stick with the playbook. And the way I like for people to start out the conversation is, and this is like, I'm gonna be honest, this is what I use if I ever have to make a phone call to a company or to somebody that I don't know. And I just, whoever answers the phone, if it's you, I'd say, hey, Wes, it's Corey Berrier. Look, I'm not sure if you're the person I need to speak to or if it's somebody else. But before I dive into that, let me just tell you why I call, and then you can decide whether it's you or it's somebody else I need to speak to. 99% of the time, 98% of the time, I get through, or I get the phone number that I need. And you know why? Because I played to the ego, right? I played to their ego. They want to feel like they could be that decision maker because all they're doing is fielding calls for the decision maker. So I'm giving them an opportunity to step into that spotlight for a minute,
Mm-hmm.
right? Let them imagine what it'd be like if they were the decision maker. And and then they're on my team. They put me right through.
Mm-hmm. Um, so are you saying this, like, let's say you're calling the owner, right? And the receptionist answers, or the gatekeeper, the executive assistant. So rather than ask for the boss, you just kind of do a little rope a dope, play dumb a little bit. Hey, I'm not really sure. Maybe you
I
can
do.
help me. And so that way you
Because
don't get is he expecting your call? Mess with this call is regarding blah, blah, blah.
yeah, because I come at it in a way that I'm a little confused. I just need a little bit of help. And if you could point me in the right direction, that'd be great. And people like that, right? People like to feel like that you're collaborating with them. They don't like when you call them and say, I need to speak to, I need to speak to Mr. Jones. Well, what about? Right? And then you're just going to get a negative response. And that's another thing. Voice inflection is so important when you're talking about anything, when you're speaking words. It's important that you recognize that. And I would assume a lot of the listeners already know what that is because I'm sure you've talked about it a million times. But if you do know what it is, then study it and learn it because I mean it's 38% of the communication, right? I mean, it's important.
Well, I appreciate you talking about voice, because I mean you have this unfair advantage. You just mail a picture of yourself with your phone number and they just call. I mean, but not everybody's pure. We're not all pretty like you, man. I mean, some of us got a face made for radio, so we got to use the phone.
I hear you, brother. I hear you.
So I appreciate you keeping it real, man.
But I appreciate that tip because I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that next week before my presentation.
You need that one
Picture.
with you, man. I'm looking here on LinkedIn. The smoke's billowing up, and you just send them that one, man.
Heck yeah.
What
So
kind of car is? What kind of car is that? Oh, that's a Lexus, huh? Yeah.
yeah, just a little IS 350.
Got the vest on, man. Never
Look,
in my life have I even been close to that cool. Not even once.
full disclosure, my wife is an amazing wedding photographer. So I
Oh,
didn't put all that shit together myself. I just showed up. I'm just being transparent with you.
damn it! I need to send my wife to photography school.
She's something else,
I
dude.
hate photo shoots, man. Oh my gosh, I do
I
need to do
don't
some though.
enjoy them.
So the phone is still working, and maybe it's working better than ever. So that's cool. In this B2B setting, do people even need to dicker with social media? Does a plumber need to be on social media? Does a chiropractor need to be on social media?
Well, I believe so. And I believe so because, well, I'll just give you a great example. I got a buddy that he's a TikTok influencer. Now, a lot of people might be thinking, how cool would that be? How much money is that dude worth? And I'm going to tell you how much he's worth. Zero, because he doesn't have an audience that's primed to buy. And so if you're going to use social media for your business, you need, one, you got to be consistent. Two, if you're trying, if the end goal is to sell your audience something, you got to prime your audience to buy something. If you did your podcast and never offered a single thing on it, do you think after 8 years, your audience, if you did offer something on it after 8 years, do you think your audience would be a little confused where that commercial came from? Don't you think they'd be a little confused as to what is this? What is he trying to do now? Like, I don't really like this because
Mhm.
it's out of the norm. And so, I got to get my buddy who's got millions of followers, and like he doesn't monetize
He doesn't have
any of it.
sponsorships or something?
Not a thing.
Oh my gosh.
It's mind blowing, right? Like it's absolutely mind blowing. So
Well,
yeah, I
see,
think social media is important, Wes. I do think that it's also important. I mean, a lot of people say be omnipresent, right? Be on all the damn channels. But I would argue that if my people who I'm trying to do business with are not hanging out on Twitter, what the hell am I doing on Twitter? I mean, and and I sabotage myself with this because I hate Facebook. I hate it. But guess what, dude? They got the biggest audience. They got everybody in the world on their platform. So,
so do you go there to engage personally, or do you just run some ads, or
I run ads. I do run ads. And I go there for business purposes. I don't really go on there to, show off my new shoes. Like I don't really, unless I don't have anything else to post about and I just need to fill the space, which, from time to time I may do that. But the other thing that I probably don't do as well as others is, I mean, I talk about sales all the damn time. And my guess is some people probably get tired of that.
why not LinkedIn?
I'm getting heavier on LinkedIn. And why not? I really wished I could give you a really good answer, but I can't. As stupid as a thing in the world for me not to be all over LinkedIn opposed to, in my opinion, any other platform.
Do you run any print ads?
No.
Like in plumbing magazine or something?
No, I don't. It didn't even dawn on me to do that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're focused on plumbers, right?
I mean, I guess I don't read magazines. So of course, I think everybody's like me, which we both know is wrong.
Yeah, I always
You
tell
know,
people, right? You are not your client,
that's right.
right? And I'm just guessing here, right? But I mean, do you go face to face much anymore, or did you ever?
Yeah, I will. If they want to look, there's really no reason to do it face to face.
Yeah,
You know that. You've been doing this for 15,
yeah.
20
Oh,
years
I've
like
rarely.
this.
I'm just saying, like, if you do, right, you're in the lobby hanging out. If you're in 5 lobbies in a month and you see one common magazine on the coffee table there, like maybe you run some ads in those.
It's probably a good idea. I'm not,
You know,
unfortunately, I'm not in 5 lobbies a month,
yeah.
but
Oh, yeah. I'm not either. I never have been. So maybe you can do a survey of your own people, right? Like I'm telling my guy, with the men's group, like do a survey and see if they subscribe. And yeah, maybe a digital uh, subscription, right?
I have a, I, I have a repeatable process that I use to engage people that are in my niche. And so, and it takes some work and I do not enjoy it. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't enjoy I enjoy like the sale. I enjoy closing the sale. I enjoy seeing the look on the person's face when they get a win or they get the thing or they have a massive thing happen in their business. I love that part. I don't love the hunting part. I just don't. I never have. Right? It's basically prospecting. I don't enjoy that. I do it, but I don't enjoy it because it's time consuming, naturally. But it's a part of the process.
Mm. Yeah.
So I find people, like you said to your guy, I find people in my niche that are on social media talking about their niche,
Hmm.
and then I pay attention.
So once you know what you're doing, once you have a voice, right, like you do, that can work. What do you tell people to do in the beginning, though? Like if this guy needs to ramp up business, you know, over time, that angle can work, but are you encouraging them to do the same thing, like to plant that flag and build from there? Or, because I know you're saying pick up the phone are you having them do some longer term stuff as well to, to nurture that market over time, so maybe they can start getting some inbound?
For sure. And most of it is inbound. So when I was speaking about the inside sales rep, really all that was she was doing is executing what most people do as the follow-up process. Right? I mean, it's just checking on the customer whether they bought or whether they didn't buy, find out the reason why they bought or why they didn't buy, and see if you can figure out a way to get them the solution. It's
Mm-hmm.
really, I mean, and that's the breakdown of, I mean, this is really not rocket science. It's certainly not to you and me, but you'd be shocked. People are like, well, I mean, you want me to call and like talk to the homeowner? I'm like, yeah. Well, what am I supposed to say? Hey, I'm from here. I'm calling you about this.
But
Right?
this
I
is
mean,
somebody that's like put in a
really?
request, maybe got a quote and just didn't take action and following back up.
Well, it could be that the technician went out, talked about the stuff, and never left an estimate.
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell?
Yeah. But I mean, it's not a pure cold call. You're not like calling my house saying, "Hey, you want a new bathroom?" It's
No,
like, what?
no,
What?
no, 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 no cold
Yeah. Like,
calls.
you came out, like I got a quote. And then for whatever reason, the sale wasn't closed. And it was last week, last month, maybe a year ago. It's like, hey, did you ever do anything?
That's right.
I mean, I don't know, dude. I've done this long enough, I guess. It's like, that's an easy call.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me, that's not a cold call,
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly.
you know.
Definitely not.
It probably shouldn't have been allowed to go sideways for that long. It shouldn't have been allowed to be ignored, but it's not a cold call.
No.
So what are y'all finding? Like in those people that got the bid and just didn't do anything. I mean, didn't get a bid. Like, are they happy they're being followed up with? Do they get pissed off? Like, I would never use y'all. I called you 6 months ago. I never heard back. I mean, so like, what's
That's
kind
a
of the
that's a
vibe
good
that you get?
that's a great question. So one of the things is that what we found is that gives people an opportunity to complain, right? Which
Yep.
I like that. I'm cool with that. As long as it's not like, hey, your guy was, spying on my girlfriend while she was showering, right? I'm just joking. That never happened. But the point is that, you know,
You have some
if you,
extreme examples: testicular cancer, spying on the
yes,
bathroom. You're crazy. Well, it's after oh dark 30 for you, so you're allowed to cut loose a little bit.
there you go. So here, do people love it? I don't know if they love it, but the way that we help them to enjoy the process is, one, you just make sure that, you try to catch them when they're not going to be in the middle of something naturally. And then if they complain, that gives you a few things, right? Gives you data to know what went sideways from the customer standpoint. And then it also gives you the ability to say, you know what, Wes, you're right. We shouldn't have been 45 minutes late, and we shouldn't have made you late for that meeting. And I know it took longer than we anticipated. Hang tight 1 second. Let me just check and let me see if I can renegotiate this for you. Right. And it's the old car tactic, right? It still works. It still
Mm-hmm.
works. And so people appreciate that and people want to be heard. And that's one of the things that I taught her at the beginning was you got to actively listen. Listen to what they're saying. Really listen and embody what they're saying so you can give them a reasonable response because
Mm-hmm.
most of us like to think about what we're going to say first. While you're talking, I'm thinking about what I'm going to say to what you're talking to me about, which makes zero sense.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Good stuff. And I was thinking of something, then you made me listen, then I forgot. Why'd you do that to me, man? Why you gotta be like
it's,
that?
it's so funny. I heard somebody say earlier today, I was listening to a book and he said, I, I, I could pay attention if I didn't get distracted. I said, well, that's pretty good.
I could pay attention if you weren't so damn boring and monotonous. Oh, did I say that out loud? What?
Right.
Like I tell my wife, she She looks over, like every conversation begins with, have you even heard a word that I said? Isn't that a weird way to start a conversation?
I would say yes, or direct indication something's going on. Oh, that is funny, dude. Yeah. But look, we talked about this, I guess it was last week, when you said that just tell me. If I don't need to fix it, just tell me I don't need to fix it.
Yeah,
Because the
exactly.
first thing I'm gonna do is try to fix it. We know that. So
Yeah.
just tell me I don't need you to fix shit. I need you to shut
Mm-hmm.
up and listen. And I won't take
Mm-hmm.
offense to that.
Yep. Yep.
It works. It works.
Amen. So, man, I asked you about other industries. So for our plumbing friends and our non-plumbing friends, what should they do right now? Should they follow you on social media? You got your own podcast. You've got some tips and tricks. Do you have some guides? Where do we send them?
Yeah, that's a great question. In fact, I will, if I'd like to, I should have told you this earlier, but I'd like to have everybody if they want, download my Objection Crusher cheat sheet. Now, is it going to be super high level stuff? Not necessarily, but guess what? If you know a little bit about sales, it's still going to help you. Worst case scenario, to give you a framework to use the next time you get hit with a stupid objection. So that's what they can do is go and download my Objection Crusher cheat sheet, and I'll send you over that link when we're finished.
All right. Well, do you have, is it a simple verbal one? So people listening?
It is not very much no, so not. It is like 18 characters long.
Okay.
It's long.
I'm going to give you some coaching right now. You ready? And everybody, y'all can listen in. Are you ready?
All right.
Are you ready? Dude, buy yourself some URLs or just redirect them.
Well, this is specifically so we could track the cheat sheet. That's why it's the way it is.
Well, that's fine. It can be forwarded to any, you can, so you have, CoreyBerrier.com/cheat sheet. And it can redirect to that long URL.
You're right. CoreyTheSalesCEO.com.
Okay.
Yep. Just go to CoreyTheSalesCEO.com and that should take you to the Objection Crusher cheat sheet.
And it's Corey with an E.
Yep.
Look at that, man. Look at that. Look. I got it.
Boom. Perfect.
Dude, so look, all of our listeners, Corey with an E, CoreyTheSalesCEO.com. Why was that so hard, man? What?
In my mind, I was thinking about the booking link, which has a whole bunch of other stuff on the back end of it. And look, I don't know this. I don't know. I don't know why it's the way it is, other than that's how it was given to me.
Oh, man. It looks good, too. I'm going to have to get this thing.
Yeah, it's neat.
I hope you have a lot of pictures in it, though. I need pictures. All right.
Yeah. I don't know if it's any pictures, though.
Know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Can you insert some pictures real quick?
Well, we'll see about
that.
Your
wife's a photographer. Just send me some pictures of you, like, smoking cigars. And
there you go.
Actually, you got smoke on the background of this. I see a recurring theme here, man.
Yeah, and if you notice, look at the wall behind me. No, behind me.
Yeah.
Right, so that's how we designed it, based on this wall. So there you go. Because I used to do all my videos behind this. I used to do all my videos here, but the problem is the sound sucks. And so, and I got a cool office. I just didn't really want to shoot it in the office, but now I do because it sounds better. Audio's important.
Yep. Cool, man. I just downloaded it. I'm going to join your group. I'm going to skyrocket my revenue. It's all here, man.
Boom. There you go.
Whoop, there it is. Very nice. Well, man, it's time for you to unwind. It's almost 7 o'clock your time.
Oh, yeah. I still got 3 more calls.
Dude, machine. Very nice. Well, Mr. Corey, all the way from North Carolina. Thanks for coming on the show. It's been great.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right, man. Have a great night.
Yes, sir.
I would say 99 times out of 100, the answer is to keep it simple. He rides in the field with his clients, builds rapport and trust with the technicians in his client shops, coaches on what he's good at, follows up, not hesitant to branch out when the timing is right. I agree, the phone still works, all right? reach out to people, but have something good to say. Very few people do, ever. And that's before COVID. Okay, I don't want to hear it as an excuse. You were just bad before COVID, and you just use COVID as your excuse to not work on something you're not good at, you don't want to get good at. Whatever reason, it's fine. Just admit it. You're comfortable, and you don't want to do what it takes to get uncomfortable. So that's fine. But you're listening to this. So you do want to grow. You do want to make some changes. So what are you going to do about it? Okay. Get some help. Get some outside assistance. Get somebody that's going to kick your butt. All right? I'll kick your butt. I'll do it with a smile on my face. I won't let you have any excuses. It'll be tough. And when we get through with it, you'll be saying it was the best money you spent in a long, long time. Invest in yourself. Okay? Stop looking outside for some magic, throwing money at apes and whatever. If you can't explain NFTs and whatever else to a fifth grader on a napkin over lunch, then you don't know it well enough to invest in it. So invest in yourself. Get good at making money. Get good at making money on demand. Then you'll have all the money you need to hire all the other people that you need to invest in gorillas and whatever else. Okay? But I digress. Get the coaching. Get the coaching you need. Find somebody like Corey or me. We can help you 2 and 3 and 5 and 10x your business. Not because we're magic, but because there's some fundamental things you're just overlooking. You stopped doing, you got bored with or frustrated, or you just don't know. You're great at your craft, but there's little things that you just don't know that you need to master to take it to the next level. And this is how you do it. When you look around and you see folks making twice as much money as you, working half as hard in the same industry, delivering a lower quality service or product, it's because they hired the right people, created some systems. Yeah, some cheated and whatever, but, most of them just found out, they kept it simple, they found out where to focus, they focus like crazy, and they're able to charge a premium for that focus. You need to do the same. You can do the same. Hit me up and I'll help you do the same. Thanks for listening. I'll go sell something.